Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. It's Sunday. How cool is that? Um, First of all, happy Ukrainian Independence Day. That should be a holiday everybody celebrates. Let's just hope that there are enough people on the planet working to make sure that Ukraine stays independent, remains a sovereign democratic nation, and gets all of its stolen territory back. That's my hope for Ukraine. Sadly, not so sure that all of the children who were kidnapped in an act of war crimes, uh, all the that the Russians stole, and I know for a fact that we will not get back all of the Ukrainian lives lost. But the very least we could do is ensure that Ukraine is made whole again and the people's futures are secured. Okay. Questions. That's what we're here for. So let's start. Et tu, Brutus? Question. Why do we get migraines when watching Fox? Question for you. Why do you watch Fox? I understand. I mean, I think some people have it as their philosophy that it's important to see what how the other side is behaving, what kinds of disinformation and propaganda they're spreading. And I get that. But I also think we need to protect our sanity and mental health. So I would suggest doing it in small increments. Like we play clips from Fox sometimes for that very reason. I do think it's important to keep people abreast of what they're up to, but the idea of watching a whole I couldn't do it. So I guess another question is just migraines? I think I would either be very sick to my stomach or something worse than a migraine. I think my head would actually explode, is what I'm trying to say. So please stop subjecting yourself, even though I understand the impulse. For some reason, like I've friends who watch Fox and Newsmax and read the Wall Street Journal editorial pages and the New York Post and other awful, awful publications. I've never felt the need to do any of that. So I appreciate, and honestly, I appreciate it that other people do because that's where that's where I see the clip sometimes from other people who do the very hard work of sifting through the sewage. Donna, question. Hello, Mary. Hello. Would it be far-fetched to presume that Donald will attempt to send as many of the LGBTQ plus community people to a place just for us in an attempt to erase us from society? I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched. I think they are trying in ways both obvious and not so obvious to turn this country into a country that is either only straight white people, straight white Christian people, or make life so miserable for those of us who belong to marginalized groups that either, if possible, if we have the means, we leave voluntarily, or we just become part of a permanent underclass that doesn't actually have any rights. So yes, that is not far-fetched, sadly. What I'm more immediately concerned about, though, is the extent to which trans people in this country are under assault, increasingly under assault on a daily basis. The way this regime is operating is almost is designed not just to strip rights away from trans people, but get them killed. So we have to do everything we can to protect trans people, and I mean everybody in the LGBTQ plus community, but trans people are particularly vulnerable right now. I see. Comment. Hi. I think the question would be how much of a control freak was Donald? Would he invoke a war in 3.5 years to stop any elections, which he mentioned to Zelensky to retain power and control? Okay. Whether the extent to which Donald is a control freak, I don't know. I know he doesn't like being defied. I know he doesn't like being disrespected. He needs to feel special. He needs to feel like he's everybody else is beneath him. That's why we get all of these ridiculous Sir stories. So again, the extent to which that is anything to do with his being a control freak, I'm not sure. However, and this is in the same vein, he will do anything to stay in power. Anything. So, not necessarily because he wants to be in control of everything, but because he will not be able to survive not being in power. Existentially or what have you. So, again, he will stop at nothing to stay in power. He will stop. If he feels like he's going down, he'll bring everybody down with him. This is the mantra. There's no such thing as worst. He will always get worse and make things worse. It's like his thing. He's known for it. Okay, BFQ135, my question. What religion and what morals and conscience has the guy been brought up to believe? Oh, no, none. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there. None. My father, not my father. Sorry, totally not my father. My grandfather, Donald's father, my father's father, was a sociopath who believed in money. That's it. Oh, and his superior genetics. He believed in money. He believed in the legacy of his empire. He wanted his empire to last in perpetuity. This is one way in which my grandfather and Donald are different. My grandfather did believe in his legacy. He had every expectation that his surviving children would, especially Donald, would keep the empire going forever. Donald does not believe in such things. Donald doesn't believe anything can survive beyond him, which is kind of terrifying. It's not good to have a nihilist with this much power. My grandparents were amoral people. Although my grandmother liked to pretend otherwise. There was no religion to speak of. I've said this before. Donald, the only higher power Donald believes in is himself, which is kind of funny and terrifying all at once. I'm pathetic. So no, the only money was it. Money was the most important thing in my family. It stood in for everything else. Your worth as a human being, monetary and otherwise, was purely determined by how much money you had and how much money my grandfather decided he would give you. So, given that, my dad basically had nothing. Over the course of his lifetime, my grandfather gave Donald $410 million. And that was before he died. That was not including the inheritance. So you can kind of understand why Donald thinks so highly of himself, at least on a sort of superficial level, deep down. He understands exactly who he is, and that's why we're in so much trouble right now. And to Brutus is a new member. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Glad to have you here as a member. Gene, comment. I just saw an MSNBC report on how red states are replacing Sesame Street with animated programs that contain untrue information in an attempt to rewrite our national history. Of course they are. But by the way, Sesame Street was about teaching kids to count to like 10. The alphabet song, and being decent human beings. That's the part they don't like. I mean, they want our children enumerate and illiterate also. True. But they hate empathy. Oh, and also Sesame Street was about diversity. That's no. So yeah, it should not surprise any of us that this is happening. I mean, it's happening with local news as well. Sinclair Media is taking over local news and basically forcing local newscasters to read from a pre-approved script that gives the spin they prefer. So it's not journalism anymore. It's not news anymore. All right. Fun times. Philip, question. Hi, Mary. Hello. When you were in Vegas, did you hear talk of Star Trek Archer? Does the world need a Star Trek West Wing series to remind us how a president should act and behave? As a matter of fact, I was on a panel with somebody who's involved in developing that. Whether or not it's going to happen, who knows? It's not easy to get television shows made. Obviously, being part of a franchise like Star Trek is an advantage, but I'm very excited about this. It's if I remember correctly, it is it's about the formation of the Federation. And it sounds awesome. Like totally up my alley. Because honestly, Star Trek in its current incarnations is getting a little violent for me. It's getting I'm totally cool with violent movies and TV shows, but that's not what Star Trek's supposed to be about. If I want to watch something violent, I'll watch Reacher. I don't want Star Trek should be about exploration and making alliances with new cultures and all sorts of stuff like that. Not about, it's just like way too much shooting and killing and war and they need to get back to the original ethos of Star Trek, I think. Barbara, question. I know nothing about Star Trek. Well, you know something now. Will I be completely lost when listening to your new podcast, or is it beginner friendly? I want to be upfront about this. Some of it will be a little bit in the weeds for sure, but so Bob and I, my co-host Bob Seska and I, are going to do the first episode, just the two of us, talking about the kind of thing I just talked about, the Star Trek ethos, why it matters, where Star Trek, the direction Star Trek has been going in. So that, that will be user friendly for sure. It will be very nerdy. How could it not? But we are nerds, so this is fair. Every episode that follows will be centered around one episode. So you'll know ahead of time. It could be from any of the Star Trek franchises, the original series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, maybe not Enterprise so much because I didn't really watch it. Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Picard. But also on occasion we'll have guests who aren't from the Star Trek universe. So we might watch an episode from Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, one of the greatest television series ever made, or Ronald D. Moore's other show, which is currently on Apple TV Plus, For All Mankind. But again, you'll know ahead of time what the episode is, so you can go watch it. And we will also every episode have an interview with an actor, director, showrunner, etc. So I think it will be absolutely be something that you could watch without having any deep knowledge of Star Trek. Yeah, once in a while we might go off on our little nerdy tangents, but yes, totally user friendly. At least I hope so. And if it's not, you will let us know, and we will do so. We will figure it out. We will make it more accessible. Motley, question. You see Donald alone leaning out of a top floor of Trump Tower. It's on fire. He screams help. Do you A, say fake news, B, immediately send a letter to fire department, C, call ICE, D, other? E, I don't answer such hypotheticals. I actually sending a letter to the fire department. That's an interesting option. I want never to be in such a situation, but honestly, I would immediately, and I'm being serious, I would immediately call the fire department. Because that's what you do. How many other people are in the building, for example? I don't know. You immediately call the fire department. Or I would. Anyway. Lisa. Hi, Mary. Hi. You always have great shows. Well, thank you. It's very kind of you. I'm curious. If Donald's crooked gait on the red carpet the other day is a symptom of dementia, I am not a neurologist or a neuropsychologist. However, that's not how people walk. So, I think sometimes even if we're not experts in a particular field, we know when something's wrong, right? When something's just off. And that was bizarre. So it just, yes, it makes you wonder, just like his inability to stay oriented to time and place or remember the names of people who are allegedly good friends of his, or he couldn't remember the name of the Pacific Ocean. Although he did point out that it's big and beautiful, which I thought was generous of him. Sorry, I had to hydrate. Delilah, question. Hi, Mary. Hello. Do you think Donald has ever read Faust? Maybe he should. Donald has never read anything except newspaper articles that are about him. So maybe he should. I mean, honestly, if you were going to read anything, I would kind of want him to read my first book just for fun. But no, he's never read Faust. He doesn't even know what Faust is. And the world would be a better place if Donald had been a reader. Mama Corolla 1, question. Have you heard that postal services in Europe have temporarily suspended shipments to the United States of America? Yes, I have. European Union countries, I don't know about Great Britain, but the countries in the EU are suspending shipments to the United States for items with a value less than $800. This is because of the stupid tariffs. So it's bad. That's a very bad thing. I don't know all of the technicalities behind that or, the rationale, but yeah, I have heard that and it's alarming. A2 Brutus back with another question. What did your father think or say about his brother? Well, my dad was 7.5 years older than Donald, and so they didn't grow up together, really. I mean, obviously they grew up in the same house, but by the time my dad, by the time Donald was 10 or 11, my dad was in college already. So I never heard my father say anything particularly bad about Donald, but I do know that he was well aware that his little brother was, well, my dad's friends hated Donald. They thought he was an annoying, self-important bully who had no sense of humor, and they did not enjoy having him around. But my father was very well aware that Donald was very full of himself. And the nickname my father gave him was the Great I Am, which I think is kind of perfect. Just so because of the age difference, like my dad was a very kind person, and like he was not going to, beat up on his little brother, literally or figuratively. Stacy, question: If Donald dies and Vance becomes president, what are the ramifications? I've heard Vance is worse because he actually knows what's happening. I don't think it will be worse, and it certainly won't be better. So that's not a great answer, is it? I think that the Republicans at this point have changed this country to such a degree, have altered our institutions to such a degree that it's one person, no one person, even Donald is not the problem. It's the whole party. So Vance will continue to do as much damage. Donald doesn't know what's happening, but the people who are actually running things do, like Stephen Miller. JD Vance doesn't actually know what's happening. He is a tool of Peter Thiel. So Vance won't be running the show. His handlers will be. Stephen Miller will keep doing what he does. It's no, it's not going to be better. I don't think it will be worse to this extent. Things are going to nothing will change in terms of how they govern. Nothing will change. The Republican Party will continue to be a fascist party, an authoritarian party. They will continue to dismantle everything that they're dismantling. ICE will continue, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, because all of that will stay the same, everything's going to get worse. Not because it's Vance, though. Could be anybody. Mighty Cheryl, there you are. Thank you as always. Gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. That is awesome. Donna, hey there. Question. I made a trip today to Hartford, Connecticut. Oh, I went to school right near there. Not right near there, not too far from there. First time in 40 years, we drove through Hartford and there were no people on the streets. ICE arrests in Connecticut. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading. ICE arrests in Connecticut areas 2 days ago. 65 people caused thoughts. They're going after everybody everywhere. They're going to be putting thousands of National Guard troops in Chicago for no reason except Donald's declaring an emergency that doesn't exist, and it's a blue city, and he hates Pritzker. This is it's a flood the zone strategy. The question is, when are enough people going to be negatively impacted by the fact that we don't have people picking our fruit or cleaning our hotel rooms or doing all the jobs that Americans don't want to do? When is the economy going to take enough of a hit? I don't know. I'd like to think that the fact that people are being disappeared off the streets and that essentially the right to due process no longer exists in this country anymore would be enough. Apparently not. Mighty Cheryl, thank you again. No question, just a donation in honor of the 2 kittens and 1 adult cat that found their forever homes yesterday at the adoption event. Cats. Yes, that's fantastic. I love it that you guys have those as often as you do. And always exciting when 2 kittens find their forever homes, but it's particularly awesome when an adult cat does. So thank you for that. Ohms is a new member. Thank you, Ohms, and welcome. Sage of Suffering. If you could pick the next administration, who would you put in charge? Handpick, sorry. Right now, my pick would be J.B. Pritzker, actually. I mean, he has not put 1 foot wrong yet. He seems to understand it. Beyond that, I mean, I would like to see in the Senate pretty much anybody but Chuck Schumer being Senate Majority Leader. I don't know, maybe somebody like, damn it, Senator Ed Markey or Sheldon Whitehouse. If Sherrod Brown were still in the Senate, I'd say I'd like for him to be Senate Majority Leader. And in the House, I'm sorry, but Hakeem Jeffries has not been stepping up to the degree I thought he would. I would like to see people like Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, Stacey Plaskett, people like that have more authority, have real leadership roles in the House. Not sure about other positions, but I think that's a good thought exercise that I'm going to think about. Kat, question. Why is Donald so enamored of Putin and authoritarian dictators, but sneers at our allies? Because he thinks he's a tough guy. He likes to pretend he's a tough guy, but deep down, he knows he's a very, very weak person. So by associating himself with like the worst of the worst, like the murderous authoritarian dictators, it makes him feel like he's got that kind of strength and power. And the reason he sneers at our allies is because he doesn't believe in mutual respect or mutuality of any kind. He only believes the only relationships he has or believes in are transactional ones. Regina, thank you so very much. Newsom comment. Newsom is doing a wonderful job trolling Donald. Question. How bad do you think it is getting to Donald? I bet, yeah, it's definitely getting to him. The problem is, this is the kind of stuff Democrats should have been doing since 2016. So now, I'm not saying it isn't having an impact, but it's not enough because Donald is so protected. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. If you like people mocking Donald, I have a suggestion. Every Saturday, we have a show called Trump Trolls Trump. And that's all we do is mock him and his inner circle relentlessly. And sometimes it's very funny. So it drops every Saturday at 2. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Saber Saki, thank you very, very much. Comment. Hi, Mary. Hope you're well today. Thank you. I hope you're well as well. Question. I was wondering, did growing up in your family have any impact on choosing to get a doctorate in psychology? Actually, it didn't. But that's a very, very long story. I wanted to be a writer from the time I was 6, a novelist, actually. But I got sidetracked. I'm very, very glad I got my degree in clinical psychology. I would not have been able to write the book I wrote if I didn't have that degree and that training and that knowledge. But no, it had nothing to do with my family. My family had a lot to do with why I did so much therapy, which I think is understandable. So much therapy. Lady Di and V gifted 1 Marriage Home Media membership. Thank you so much for that. Jean, question. Mary, how much do athletes who are in the city for 2 weeks have to worry about ICE? A lot. I mean, if we're talking about brown athletes, yeah. I don't know which city. I mean, when I see the city, I think New York, but I don't know if we're talking about the World Cup or probably. Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. I mean, I don't know why anybody would come to this country right now. I guess they're just going to have to, the countries sending the athletes are going to have to take very serious precautions and have very, very strict protocols in place because nobody's safe. It's incredible. In the middle of nowhere, thank you. That's incredible. Gifted 5 Marriage Trump Media memberships. Much appreciated. Greg Bender, also incredibly awesome, gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Thank you, Greg. Donna, thank you as always for that. It's very generous of you and much appreciated. Hi, Mary. Thoughts on rumors of not much taco time left? Question: could he be making things more crazy because he's worried about unfinished business, not just Epstein files? Yeah, he has a lot to worry about. He has a lot to worry about. And honestly, he's going to keep getting worse. And unless he gets worse in ways that are debilitating to him, he's going to make things much worse for us. So, yes, obviously it's the Epstein files, but it's also the economy and it's his poll numbers and his health and a lot of things. That's so weird. I lost something. Anyway, sorry. Susan, thank you very much, Susan. Most excellent of you. Comment, very excited for Trek Politics. Thank you, Mary. And thank you, Susan. Yeah, I'm very excited about it too. I love doing that show and I miss doing it. Greg, thank you so much again, as always. Mary, question. Maybe you could get David Gerald. We could try. Yeah, I mean, we have a very, very solid list of people to one to bring on the show, but two to ask to make connections. So, Susan, again, thank you so much. Gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Excellent. Darren. Hi, Mary. As you like sci-fi, did you like Planet of the Apes? Does Dr. Zaius' crap science, gatekeeping secrets, and need for people to be dumb remind you of anyone else who was orange? No. I first saw the first Planet of the Apes movie on television when I was a very young child, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I probably saw far too many of those movies, though, because each one got worse. Like, there was Escape from the Planet of the I mean, it just was it got weird. But the first one, especially the last scene, oh my goodness gracious. I did not watch the remix, however. And I know they're really good, or at least one or two of them is really good. So I should definitely check those out. But yeah, Dr. Zaius, crap science, secrets, dumb, orange does not remind me of anybody at all. Oh, wait, I get it. Etsu Brutus gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships and became a member all in one night. That's fantastic. Thank you. Michael, another new member. Welcome. It is great to have you here. In the middle of nowhere. Thank you so very much. Question: why don't the people who are immigrants get in trouble? So weird, isn't it? Because those are the people Donald protects. It's the same. I mean, it's not the same thing in the set. It's analogous. Like, why? Why? First of all, why is prostitution illegal? It shouldn't be. But secondly, why is it the people who hired the Johns, so-called, never get arrested? Only the prostitutes they hire. Ha. It's just something. GBW. Question. Hello, Mary. Hello. Do you think Kamala can win in 2028 if there are elections anymore if she decides to run? There are a lot of people who regret voting for Donald, so maybe she had a chance. No, I don't think she has a chance in 2028, not because of anybody but herself. Like, what has she done? Other than to tell us, I told you so. What has she done? In a very, very, very long 9-10 months since that November election. Sorry, I'm not bitter. Laura. Mary, I heard white women in California are putting Mexican flag stickers on their cars to screw with ICE. Have you heard this? Funny as shit. I haven't, but it makes me want to buy a car just so I can put a Mexican flag sticker on it. Everybody, please do that right now. Like, I want to learn Spanish. Well, I wish I spoke another language fluently anyway, just so I can walk around speaking Spanish all the time and confuse the hell out of them. Yeah, there are lots of ways that we have to figure out to mess with ICE on a local level, and that's a good one. Taking pictures of everything. I mean, sorry, videos of everything, obviously, but just following them around with like bullhorns and really loud whistles and stuff. I don't know. Get creative. The stickers. Yeah, I like it. Lady Di and V, thank you so much again. Comment donating for those who want to but can't. Hashtag Blue Family. That's awesome. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. I see a question. What happens if he does get approval to go ahead rolling out the National Guard in 19 states, aka martial law? What happens depends entirely, almost entirely, on the willingness of the American people to sit by and watch that happen, and two, how those governors and state legislatures of those states respond. That's it. As for the courts, sorry to say, it doesn't matter. Abby, question. What do you recommend for dealing with anxiety as I begin speaking out more publicly? Mary Trump Media. Seriously, exercise consistently, get outside, figure out some form, whether it could meditation, yoga, mindfulness, breathing. Be creative, find a way to be creative or consume things that are creative and stay connected. Be connected to people in the real world. And finally, know when you need a break and take it. Just, you need to tap out for a little bit. The rest of us are still here, right? So those are my suggestions. Which basically all those suggestions are just like ways to be a healthy human being. I do all of those things on a consistent basis. I try. At least I know what they are. So that's something. Janice, super sticker. Thank you so much, Janice. And Erica, another super sticker. Thank you very, very much for that. Johnny, question. What is your take on guys like Nick Adams and Charlie Kirk being considered alpha males? Well, my take is that white men are in serious, serious trouble. That's my take. Speaking of therapy, oh, here's a good one to end on from Deborah. Mary, if you were not so preoccupied with saving our country and saving our sanity, what type of novel would you write? Well, the kinds of novels I read and love most are very dense. Like three of my favorite writers are William Faulkner, Toni Morrison, and Henry James. So I'd probably write novels like that. At least I would try, because that's, I don't know, that kind of writing really resonates with me. So probably not the most accessible stuff, but yeah, that would give me joy. Someday we're going to get there. We're all going to get there where we can do whatever our version is of that. I have hope for that. All right, guys, that does it for us. Thank you all so very much for being here tonight. This was great. Again, don't forget to check out the Trump Trolls Trump video that dropped yesterday. And remember that we have videos dropping every day here, including weekends. So one of the best, easiest ways to support us is watch those videos, like them, share them, comment on them. I also forgot. Thank everybody who's streaming on YouTube, watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and the Substack, the Good Enough, my Substack. Also want to thank everybody who donated tonight, who all of our super stickers, all of our new members, people gifting memberships. You guys, seriously, you help us so much. We truly, truly appreciate it. As always, thanks to our awesome moderators who keep this place humming. We know it's a hard job, and we appreciate how spectacularly well you do it. And as always, I want to thank my team, which is on Sunday nights is Lexi. So thanks, Lex. Awesome job. It's Sunday. I'm sorry. I was like trying to think what day it was. It's Sunday because it's Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. I will be back tomorrow night for Mary Trump Live. Remember, that's Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget about all those videos. Check those out. Easiest way to support the channel, obviously, is subscribe. We're trying very hard to get to 500,000 subscribers. And every subscription matters. So thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. Bye.